If you're buying a house in Phoenix and you don't know these red flags, it could cost you $10,000, $20,000 or way more. And most buyers don't see them until it's too late. Today, we're talking about how to spot a bad house in Phoenix, Arizona before you close, before you move in, and before it drains all of your savings. Not every house looks bad. Some of the worst ones, they show beautifully. They smell good, they have the white cabinets and quartz countertops, but Phoenix is different. Between the extreme heat, our monsoons, our soil, aging plumbing, flat roofs, and investor flips, there's very specific things you need to look for here. I've helped hundreds of buyers in the Phoenix metro area, and I can tell you the houses that look perfect online are sometimes the ones that worry me the most. So let's walk through it step by step. Let's start outside, the foundation. And grading in Phoenix, your biggest enemy isn't snow, it's water and heat. You're in the desert, but when monsoon hits, it dumps hard. And when you pull up to a house, here's what I'm scanning immediately. Is the yard sloped towards or away from the home? Are there cracks in the stem wall? Is there separation in the driveway? Do I see patchwork in the concrete? Arizona has expansive soil and it moves, especially in parts of Queen Creek and Gilbert, where a lot of homes were built quickly during boom cycles. Small hairline cracks, totally normal. Large stair-stepping cracks or doors that just don't close right, red flag. That's where we slow down. And here's the twist most people don't realize. Foundation issues in Phoenix don't always mean disasters, but water drainage problems almost always turn into one. If water flows towards the house, it will eventually cause damage. How about the roof? Flat roofs, pay attention here. Phoenix has a lot of tile roofs, which is great, but we also have flat roofs, especially in older homes in areas like Mesa or even Central Phoenix. Flat roofs plus our monsoons equal potentially pooling. And here's what you need to know. How old is that underlayment? Has it been redone? Are there any soft spots? And here's something buyers miss all the time. Tile can look perfect. The underlayment underneath can be shocked. That's a $10,000 surprise waiting to happen. How about the HVAC system? This is Arizona. It's not optional. In Phoenix, your AC isn't a luxury, it's survival. When it's 115 degrees in July and your unit dies, you're not getting a quote next week. You're paying whatever it takes to fix it today. And when I walk into a home, I look at the age of the unit, the brand consistency. The cheap replacements are common in many flips. How about the airflow strength? The thermostat age. If it's 12, 15 years old, budget for replacement. That typically costs $8,000 to $15,000 each, depending on size. And here's the myth-busting moment. But it works fine right now. Yes, so does your car, until it doesn't. The flip factor, cosmetic versus structural. Phoenix has a lot of investor flips, especially in some of the older areas like Chandler, Glendale, maybe some older pockets in Mesa. It looks pretty. New white cabinets, black hardware, LVP floors, looks amazing. But here's what I look at. Did they replace the big stuff? How about the plumbing, the electrical? Did they replace all the outlets? Is the panel original to the house? I've seen some beautiful flips with 40-year-old polybutylene piping still in the walls. That's not a style issue, that's a future leak issue. The twist, the prettier the house, the more suspicious I get. Windows and insulation. Single pane windows in Phoenix are brutal. They make your energy bills just explode. If your home was built in the 80s or 90s and still has those original windows, that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it is leverage. Replacing windows in a 2,000 square foot home could easily cost $15,000 to $25,000. And check attic insulation levels. Most buyers don't. But in Arizona, insulation equals comfort and lower electricity bills. How about HOA versus no HOA? The hidden cost myth, some buyers say, I don't want an HOA. I get it, but here's what they don't think about. In certain parts of Phoenix, no HOA means no exterior standards, RV parking everywhere, deferred maintenance all around you. Meanwhile, in master plan communities and some of the outer suburbs, you might pay $100 to $150 a month, but the neighborhood holds its value much better long term. The bad house isn't always the house. Sometimes it's your neighbors. Here's the part no one expects. The worst house in Phoenix isn't always the oldest one. It's often the house that was neglected during the boom years, between 2004 to 2007 builds. Quick construction, minimal oversight. Some are fantastic, some not so much. Meanwhile, a 1985's home in a well-established part of Mesa that's been lovingly maintained could be a far safer bet. Age doesn't scare me. Deferred maintenance does. And the biggest red flag of all, a seller who actually answers basic maintenance questions. If there's no record about roofing, HVAC, water heater replacement, etc., how about pest control history? We proceed carefully. Here's what I tell every buyer, that there's no perfect house. There's only informed decisions. A bad house becomes bad when maybe you overpay for it, you skip your inspections, you ignore warning signs, or you don't have someone pointing these things out. Phoenix is an amazing place to live, but desert real estate has its own rules. If you understand the following: drainage, heat impact, roof systems, AC lifespans, flip shortcuts, you'll avoid 90% of these expensive mistakes I see buyers make. And when we walk properties with clients, we don't just talk about how pretty the countertops are. We're looking at the bones. How about plumbing, the secret budget killer? Let's talk about something that nobody gets excited about: pipes. In Phoenix, depending on the era of home, plumbing can be one of the most expensive surprises. Homes built in the late 80s to mid 90s, some still have polybutylene piping. And if you don't know what that is, good, because you do not want it. It was common back then, and it's no longer used because it fails. And it doesn't just fail slowly, it leaks inside walls. Repiping a whole house here in Phoenix can cost anywhere between $6 to $15,000 depending on the size. Copper slab leaks, even worse. You're gonna notice warm spots on the floors, higher water bills, and low water pressure. And here's what buyers miss. If the house smells freshly painted just in one area and there's one random patch of new drywall, we ask why. Sometimes it's cosmetic and sometimes it's covering a leak repair. And that's where having someone who knows what to question matters. How about sewer lines, especially in older Phoenix neighborhoods? If you're buying in an older Central Phoenix or established parts of Mesa, sewer lines matter. Many older homes still have clay sewer pipes, the Orangeburg piping, or tree root intrusion. And here's the scary part. A regular home inspection does not include scoping the sewer line. A sewer scope, few $100. A sewer replacement, $8 to $20K. I've had buyers skip this, and I've had buyers thank me later for insisting on doing it. Bad house? Not necessarily. Bad after closing? Absolutely. How about pool problems? Because it's Phoenix. Pools are amazing here and also can be expensive if they're neglected. When I walk into a backyard with a pool, I look at deck cracks, tile line condition, pump age, equipment noise, and maybe the interior wear and tear. How about redoing the interior of a pool? Sometimes somewhere between $10 to $15K, replacing pool equipment a few thousand. And here's something out-of-state buyers don't realize. Pools in Arizona run almost all year round, so they're gonna age faster. If the house has a pool here and the seller says, I don't really use it, that's not very comforting. That means maintenance might not have been as consistent. Older homes, especially pre-1990 builds, can have outdated electric panels. How about those being a red flag? They are known fire hazards. Panel replacements, somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000. Not catastrophic, but not something you want to discover after you move in. And here's the flip issue again. I've seen gorgeous remodels inside, brand new kitchen, designer bathrooms, and trendy lighting. But it still has the original 1980 electric panel still in place. Pretty doesn't mean protected. Termites, yes, here in the desert. We live in the desert and we absolutely have termites. Subterranean termites are common here in Arizona. We look for mud tubes on the foundation, hollow sounding wood, previous treatment flags maybe on the ground or in the garage. Most homes have had some treatment at some point. That's normal. What's not normal is no record of that treatment ever. And if someone says, oh, we've never had termites, that doesn't mean they didn't. That could mean that they've never checked. How about the neighborhood feel test? This one isn't structural, but it matters just as much. When you pull into a neighborhood, are there multiple homes with peeling paint? Are cars parked on the gravel? Is there heavy rental turnover? Are nearby homes even in worse condition? Even in desirable cities like Chandler and Gilbert, there are micro pockets that perform very differently in resale. A bad home can sometimes be saved. A bad location within a neighborhood is going to be much, much harder to fix. I always tell buyers, we can renovate the house, we can't renovate your neighbors and the surrounding streets. Here's the real reason buyers end up in bad houses. It's not ignorance, it's emotion. You walk in, the light hits right, the kitchen looks like Pinterest, the kids run into the backyard and say, I love it, this is it. And suddenly you're ignoring the older AC, the worn out roof, the drainage slope, that weird patch in the drywall on the ceiling. Emotion makes you rationalize. Logic protects your budget. A house isn't bad because it has flaws. It's bad when the price doesn't reflect those flaws. If we walk into a house with an older roof, a 14-year-old AC, and original windows, that's fine if the price accounts for it. That is a strategic buy. The mistake is paying top of the market price for a home that needs $30,000 in updates the minute you close. Here's the formula I use with buyers here in Phoenix. Identify cosmetic versus structural. Estimate realistic replacement timelines. Budget for Arizona-specific wear and tear and negotiate based on facts, not feelings. We don't panic, we don't overreact, we just analyze. And sometimes the bad house becomes the best opportunity because other buyers got scared and walked away. And sometimes the dream house becomes the one we pass on because we can see what's coming in the next 3 to 5 years down the road. That perspective only comes from being in this market long term. We've seen the rapid 2020 to 2022 appreciation, the builder boom cycles, and the investor flip waves. Patterns repeat, and so do mistakes. If you're house hunting in Phoenix right now and you're thinking, how do I know if I'm going to overpay for something that looks good but isn't? That's exactly the stage where we can help. We don't just unlock doors. We analyze houses like it's our own money on the line. Call or text us or visit our website. Whether you're relocating, upgrading, downsizing, or buying your first home, let's make sure you don't buy the house that looks good on Instagram but costs you thousands behind the walls. Because in Phoenix, knowledge isn't optional, it's protection.